Morena, Sharon.
Morena, Billy Joe.
Firstly, tell us a little bit about yourself, your real journey, and how did you start writing these amazing books?
Oh, okay. So I grew up in Auckland and now I live in Hamilton. But the reason I'm in Invercargill at the moment is I'm doing an author tour for Duffy Books and Home. So I'm in Invercargill today going to Matoda. So what I did my background is that I was a teacher and I was a journalist. And then about 22 years ago, I remembered my childhood dream to become a children's author and have been a children's author for about 22 years and Te Reo Singalong books for the last 10 years. I started learning Te Reo Māori in 2002 when I was 42 and I knew no Māori language before that at all. And the reason that I started doing that was because I was very fascinated by languages generally, and I thought, oh, I better start learning one of the languages of New Zealand. And when I was doing that, I was also working in a kindergarten and a school, and I realised the lack of confidence that many, many teachers had in pronouncing Te Reo Māori words and, using the resources that the government had given them. So I thought maybe I could do something to help that as an author and a teacher and a Māori language learner. Perhaps I had an idea, which was for blending song with sentence structures and repetition, and that's how Te Reo Singalong was born.
It's such a brilliant concept and you're so passionate. What kind of help do you receive when writing these books, just to make sure the accuracy of the kupu are on point?
Yeah, it's super important, particularly actually more the accuracy of sentence structure. So I put my ideas down and think of a theme. It might be a theme time of year like Matariki or Anzac or Waitangi or Christmas, or a theme like shapes or colours or things like that. And I match a sentence structure to it. And then I have several I call them Māori mentors because I'm Pākehā. I have a lot of knowledge myself of Te Reo Māori and have done many courses over the years, but I'm not fluent, and I know that my ideas have some gaps in them, my understanding. So I've got a few different people that I go to and just make sure that the sentence structures, when they are published and when the song is sung, are correct.
Brilliant. Now, you're a huge advocate for correct pronunciation of Māori words and place names. How do you teach this in your books and your classes?
Well, I do face-to-face workshops with people, and I do some online stuff on our Te Reo Singalong Books Facebook page on Mondays today, and also on Fridays. There's always some learning about phrases or pronunciation. And on YouTube, anyone will find masses of videos of me on YouTube teaching pronunciation. And I've got a Facebook page as well called Te Reo Māori Challenge. And my method of teaching, Billy Joe, is what really works for non-Māori people, because they don't realise, and I didn't realise, that it's a phonetic language and that the pronunciation of the vowels in the main is the same, a, e, o, u, because that's very different in English. There isn't any consistency in English, but there's a lot of consistency in Te Reo Māori. And I teach them to concentrate on the sounds of the vowels and to put a break after every vowel, so that a place name such as Manu Rewa is Manu Rewa, and it isn't Manurewa.
No, that's right. And when it comes to pronouncing Māori words and place names, especially for Pākehā, is it purely a matter of effort? Do you think people need to just try a little harder, or are they just whakamā? Are they shy?
Well, I think it's a matter actually of you don't know what you don't know. When using the example of Manu Rewa, when I was living in Auckland, when I was growing up, everyone around me said Manurewa. So that was the role modelling that I got from everyone around me, even on television. And there probably were Māori people in our community. I grew up in Glen Innes and it was 50-50 Māori Pākehā. There were probably people saying Manurewa, but I remember thinking that Māori pronounced things their way and I pronounced things my way. So I think that a lot of New Zealanders, a lot of Pākehā New Zealanders actually don't realise that they're pronouncing things incorrectly. It's changing really a lot at the moment, and especially since television presenters in mainstream have been using a lot more Māori language and obviously having a bit of training. So they're using relatively good pronunciation and using more sentences. So the Pākehā in New Zealand now are seeing other Pākehā, apart from me and a few other people, pronouncing things correctly. And so I think it's changing. But it's not that they don't want to, it's just habits and that nobody's taught them. You can't just listen to a Māori speaker and know how to pronounce. It doesn't happen. You have to be taught.
Okay, and maybe because it's so ingrained to get it wrong that there is some stigma by saying it right?
There is a stigma. When I do my workshops, I always say, we have to break out of that fear of people thinking that we're showing off or embarrassing the family. Particularly here in the South Island, it's really hard because if I'm saying to somebody that actually we're in Mataura, we need to respect the land, the people, the language, the culture by pronouncing these place names correctly. There's a lot of people that would find that in the South Island particularly, because in the North Island it's changing quite a lot already. They just think, what will people think if I say Mataura? Do you know what I mean? There is I suppose it is whakamā because they're not necessarily brave enough to be the one in their family who says it differently, because you will get a bit of flack.
That's right. I mean, it was 20 odd years ago now. I was doing my journalism course and one of the tutors said, "Teka wara." I just went, "Teka wara?" Te kaupata. I was absolutely appalled. I couldn't believe it. And even when I did suggest it was te kaupata, it was kind of like, no, it's teka wara. Tell us about this Matariki book coming out next month and what motivated you to do that?
Well, our Matariki book is that, we already have one Matariki book. I've got the previous one is this one. We've got this Matariki book, which was our 6th book in the series, and the new Matariki book coming out next month. Seeing it first here on Māori Television. This is actually a proof copy, not together, but this one, beautiful illustrations by Stephanie Thatcher, is about the Matariki Star Cluster. And so the reason I wrote this one was because so many teachers, they love our books and they wanted another Matariki book. And the Matariki book has won a couple of awards and it's very popular and known really well. But I thought, well, perhaps I can think of another angle. So the motivation was making sure that, people knew about the 7 stars and now the 9 stars of Matariki, but did they really understand what those names that they sing in that quirky little Waiti, Waitā, Waipunarangi, that one, which isn't a Te Reo Singalong song, but, do they really know what those stars mean, what the names mean, and how they're associated with elements in the environment? So that's what I'm doing with this one.
Stunning. Can't wait to read it. Ngā mihi e te whaia for your time this morning. Sharon Holt, author of Te Reo Singalong books. Tēnā koe.
Kia ora.